Let's talk about the process of bringing your dog to Panama. If you would walk me through how much time it took and how complicated it was to get the paperwork and the shots that she might have needed to come. Welcome to the Panama Podcast, from dreaming to doing. I'm your host, Melissa Darnay, an American who's been living her someday, every day since 2012. Get ready for a weekly dose of Panama sunshine and inspiration, from hilarious expat adventures to insider tips on living, investing, and having a blast in Panama. Curious to learn more? Go to choosepanama.com and snag your free copy of Panama Uncorked. With me today is Mike and Julie Blech from Destin, Florida. I'm really curious about why you chose Panama, since Florida is typically considered a location where a lot of people want to live or retire.
We've been in Destin, Florida for the past 17, 18 years, and now that the kids are out of the house, we were looking to do something a little different. We were considering where in the world we wanted to go be for a while to check it out. We really like Europe, and we like the old architecture and the culture and the feel, but it's a long, long flight from the US, and we weren't comfortable being that far away from the kids. So we did some research, and Julie actually found Casco Viejo in the old town in Panama City. We came and checked it out, and it was really, really great. We enjoyed that, and we got to see a little of the city and the surrounding areas, and we were just stunned at how beautiful it was. And that kind of led us down the path of taking a serious look at would Panama work for us.
If you liked Casco Viejo, what brought you to Casa Bonita?
I'm more of a peace and quiet kind of guy. I can take the hubbub and the excitement for a short period.
If you don't know Panama, Casco Viejo is a bustling, cheek to jowl sort of place. You might have billionaires right next to backpackers. So it is a lot of chaos, a lot of energy. And a lot of people like to visit there, but it may not be for everyone to actually live there.
Exactly. So we really like visiting, and we considered, trying to find something in the city, in Casco Viejo or close by, and I just thought it would be too noisy, too much for a full-time kind of place. We looked further outside the city. We checked out, the Coronado area and the beaches area there. Not our cup of tea. It's, if I can be blunt, just a lot of expats, American expats in particular.
You don't want to be around just a lot of Americans?
Well, I mean, if I wanted to be with a bunch of old Americans, I would have stayed in Florida. We wanted a different experience, and we lucked into Casa Bonita, and it's fantastic. There's a really good mixture of people who live here. A lot of expats from around the world. We've met some really interesting people. It's quiet, it's beautiful, there's nature all around you, and it's depending on the time of day, it's a quick hop into the city if you need modern conveniences.
It's about 12 to 15 minutes into the city, places like Casco Viejo. Very easy to get to if you want to go in for dinner. So now I see this charming little addition that you have with you. What is your baby's name?
Lulu.
Lulu. And Lulu is a
Chihuahua.
She called her a Chihuahua earlier, which I thought was so funny. Half Chihuahua, half Piranha. Lulu came with you to Panama. Let's talk about the process of bringing your dog to Panama. If you would walk me through how much time it took and how complicated it was to get the paperwork and the shots that she might have needed to come.
The first thing that we did is look up what shots were required. You don't want to leave that up to your vet because they're not going to know every country's requirements. So we did that. We made an appointment at the vet. You need to make an appointment at the vet at least 30 days prior to your flight. After that, you will want to find an accredited veterinarian through the USDA. You can electronically file the health certificate. That's very important because you have a strict 10-day deadline for the airlines. Pretty straightforward. As long as you're really organized. You will need to check with your airlines as well to see what they require, kennel size, and make a new reservation.
She's obviously a very small dog, so you could bring her with you on the plane. I also know that you're not here in Panama full time. You're planning on coming back and forth. Are you planning on bringing her with you every time you come?
Yes, and we also plan to travel possibly to Europe, and so this experience has made us see that, as long as you have everything planned out, it will go smoothly.
It really wasn't that hard. We thought it would be a lot worse than it was.
Yeah, I think the first time is the most challenging because you've never done it before, and it's like anything, you're worried that the paperwork won't get done in time, but if you're organized, it can certainly be done. Let's talk about Lulu's life now that she's in Panama. What does her typical day look like?
Just like humans, it takes a while for a dog to acclimate to their new surroundings.
It took a good 2 weeks for her to kind of begin to be comfortable here.
But she's doing excellent now. She's meeting new dog friends, new people friends. So she's doing great.
She still gets up painfully early in the morning like Chihuahuas always do. We let her out and feed her, and she runs around the apartment, and we take her down, and she enjoys going on the beach and sniffing where there's plenty of dogs here. So there's a lot of message traffic going back and forth out there on the lawns.
I know before you guys got here, you sent one of the big porch potties that are now becoming more and more popular, where you just put them on the balcony. It has a little hose where you can put the hose down the drain, and that way you don't have to take them out first thing in the morning if you don't feel like going down, living in an apartment building. Has she gotten acclimated to her porch potty yet?
She's getting there. She'll use it when she feels like it.
Right, but the day, it was raining a lot a few days ago, and she decided she was going to use it that day.
Oh, well, baby steps. She has doggy play dates?
Yes, with like the little Yorkie upstairs. She loves playing with him.
Have you found that you take her more places in Panama because Panama is more pet friendly than the U.S. is?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Definitely.
I mean, all the places, the little beachfront restaurants down in Veracruz, she's been there with us. She sits right in the booth.
Yeah, I take my dog to dinner as well. She's got her little seat right next to me.
Because you feel guilty for leaving them for too long of a period of time, so if they can go with you, then that's nice.
What's one of the best places you've taken her?
We really like taking her down to the pool at the Pearl Club.
The Pearl Club is our beach club that's really near Casa Bonita.
Correct, yeah, we just walk her down there, and there's there's actually a little separate doggy area. We sit on the beach chairs, and she sits with us, and there's a little area for her to have water and do the things that dogs need to do at the pool, but she actually has a great time down there.
Do they give her any special treats?
They have not yet. The waiters are learning who she is, so if they come around, they'll say hello to her.
They all like her.
They all like her.
The boy waiters like her, and the girl waiters have named her Chihuahua.
Yes.
Exactly.
Poor little Lulu, she has a reputation.
A well-deserved reputation.
I know you lived on the beach in Destin, Florida, and we had talked about this ahead of time, that you're not really ready yet to sell that home. What made you really say, okay, Panama is another beach destination? How is it similar and how is it different from Destin, Florida?
Destin is a big tourist destination. They call it the Redneck Riviera. It is the go-to place for every state in the South.
Right,
So,
very drivable.
very
Alabama,
drivable, right?
Texas,
Tennessee, Georgia, all the way. Every southern state comes down to Destin, Florida for spring break, for the summertime. So it's a very touristy kind of place. The beaches are fantastic. They're gorgeous. It's a very busy, touristy type of town. Panama has a different sort of thing. These are the Pacific beaches. It's not the crystal blue water with the white sand. It's more of the Pacific, which is nice. We have the rock formations, and we've got the greenery and the foliage. From that perspective, there's a lot of natural beauty here, and it's more unspoiled, I think, here.
That's a great term for it, unspoiled.
We've gotten past the point of, hey, we want to go down and play in the water or sit on the sand for 5 or 6 hours roasting. It's nice for us to see. We like to see the water and be by the water, but it's not really our thing anymore to be in the sand.
How long has it been since you purchased your property in Panama?
We are coming up on a year since we finalized.
A year is a good enough amount of time to figure out what you like and what you don't like. Tell me what's been the most challenging thing, not just about bringing Lulu to Panama, but just as you as a couple moving to Panama, even on a part-time basis.
There's 2 things I personally have found challenging. One, obviously driving in Panama is a different experience. If you have not driven in Central American countries, the rules are kind of suggestions in a lot of places. So you have to have your head on a swivel, as the expression goes, and you cannot assume that the person next to you is not going to cut across 4 lanes to exit right in front of you. That's been challenging, but doable. I actually feel pretty comfortable driving around the city now, so it's not that big a deal.
He's doing great.
It's just... It's a little different. The biggest thing has actually been the pace of life. In the US, everything is so busy, so fast, how it's all about how efficiently you can do things, right? You're always going from one thing to the other. And in the tech world in particular, where I came from, it's very much a how busy are you? You may not be accomplishing anything, dang it, but are you busy? That's kind of how people are judged, and how you hold yourself as, I'm really, really busy. Here, It's different because everything is slower. I'm stuck in 15 minutes of traffic because it's traffic. You know, that would have driven me nuts in Destin. Here, I'm learning to accept that, okay, it's traffic. It just is. We're going to get where we're going, and okay. You go to a restaurant, you expect that the waiter's going to be there 2 minutes after you have sat down to take your order. 5 minutes after your food is delivered, they're presenting you with the bill. Not so much here, right? It's a much more relaxed pace of life.
You will not get a bill at a restaurant unless you ask for it. There is no, okay, they see that you're done with your meal, so therefore they're just going to put the bill on the table. You actually have to ask for la cuenta. So some people will sit there for an hour and be so frustrated because they don't know that they have to ask for the bill. I personally think one of the reasons that the pace is slower here is because, one, the weather is always, tropical, but also it's very family oriented here. They're used to doing one thing at a time. So if you're working, you're working. But if it's family time, if it's weekend, then it's family time and it's weekend. And you're not going to get a lot done. There are a lot of holidays in Panama and nothing gets done during the holidays. And you just have to accept it because you're not going to change it.
That's been one of the hardest things, is being someone who's
Type A.
Yeah, we're used to being busy all the time. It's been harder to do that, but it's a good thing.
What has been the best thing about this time you've spent in Panama?
They're tied together, actually. So it's the relaxation, it's the ease. I mean, my favorite thing to do, get up in the morning and I go out on the patio and I have some coffee and I can hear the birds chirping and the parrots squawking at each other and see the sun popping over the horizon. It's just gorgeous and peaceful and serene.
I had never experienced a flock of parrots. It is such an amazing, serene sound, and it just makes you feel so grounded. So on one hand, it's frustrating that life here is a little bit slower, but on the other hand, it's charming that it's a little bit slower. And you can take your time and enjoy that cup of coffee.
The other great thing is how much farther our money goes. I'm retired now, so I'm living on a fixed income. I couldn't do this in the US. There's just no way. Destin has gotten ridiculously expensive.
Right, you couldn't live with a view like this.
Really good food at a ridiculously low price. For example, went to the fish market in Veracruz this morning, and they had langostinos, so big prawn, $5 a pound.
What would you guess that would cost in Florida?
Oh, dear Lord. Well, in Destin, I can tell you that the regular size shrimp, right, the Gulf shrimp, are $8-10 a pound.
Okay.
These for the medium size one, depending
Right.
if you go to the fish market. I've never seen prawns like that.
If you were to guess, maybe $20-25 a pound?
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's more
Yeah.
restaurant quality,
Yes.
I'd say. Yeah.
So probably about a fifth of the price or so.
Probably, yeah.
I know I can get ahi tuna here for about $3.50 a pound.
They had fresh mahi-mahi, so dorado in it. I asked, he said it was like $2.70 a pound, something like that. Under $3 a pound.
For fresh caught that morning.
So we've talked about fish that's less expensive. Give
Yes.
me a couple other things that you find a lot less expensive here.
Fruits and vegetables, fresh, especially if you buy the local.
Right.
Imported stuff is going to be more expensive, just like
Right.
anywhere else. But if you're buying any of the local vegetables, significantly less expensive. Eggs, we went to the big market downtown,
How many eggs did we get?
30 eggs.
Have you noticed a difference in the taste in the eggs?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And they're bright orange,
Yeah.
right?
The yolks are bright orange.
They're brown shells, bright orange yolks. And I think that they're fresh, they're natural.
It's fun getting the stuff from the farmer's market. Everything's fresh, Yeah, it's truly what they say, farm to table.
The locally grown things are very inexpensive, but if you want something like a pomegranate, it's ridiculously expensive. I grew up in California and pomegranates were on a tree outside my house. I never thought of them as anything special. But here, if you want a pomegranate, when they're in season, they're about $10. What else have you found inexpensive in Panama?
Besides the wine.
Let's talk about the wine.
We do like wine, right? We're not connoisseurs by any stretch, but we're connoisseurs of grocery store wine. And the local grocery store, the Reba Smith, which is 2 minutes up the road, has a really good selection of wines. We've been amazed how nice a wine you can get for $7-8 a bottle.
People who are from Canada, they say that the two best things about Panama are cheap maid service and cheap wine. Because in Canada, the taxes on wine is incredible.
So we just got a car, and buying a used car in Panama is an adventure. We were able to find something, and the insurance was ridiculously cheap. I was paying $2,000 a year or something like that. You know, a couple $100s a month is not uncommon
For one car.
One car, right, one car. Here, I want to say it was $300, $400 for the entire year for the platinum level with roadside service, pet insurance.
Everything for Lulu.
It was amazing how cheap the car insurance was.
Tell us about the experience of buying the car.
What we've been told is that you may or may not want to buy a new car because it's going to get dinged up. It's just kind of a fact of life.
Yeah.
The potholes, the other crazy drivers, they're probably going to get dinged. So the logic is you buy a used car. But finding a used car is a bit of an adventure because it's hard to get a good history. It's hard. There's no Carfax. It's not like you can type in the VIN and Carfax pulls up the accident history. So that makes it a bit of a challenge to find something that actually is reliable and has not been a total loss in the U.S. shipped down here, something that was flood damage, because that does happen in Panama. Cars that were wrecked in the U.S. or other countries find their way here and are cleaned up and sold as new, or sold as, I should say, with a clean title. We were able to find something. There's a couple of places in town that we felt very comfortable dealing with.
My first car that I bought in Panama was the same thing. I was like, I'm not going to spend very much because I don't know. This is a weird place to drive. But then as you get more and more comfortable here, now I drive a really nice car. Knock on wood, nothing's ever happened. Let's talk about one other thing that you love about Panama and living in Casa Bonita.
One of the things I really like, and it may be dumb, but I like this a lot, is I already mentioned the wine at Reba Smith, the little grocery store up the road. Their bakery is fantastic. So pretty much every day or every other day, I will go up there in the morning, first thing, and get a large Italian loaf.
For $1.34.
It's about $1.30 for the fresh baked Italian loaf. It's fantastic.
And there are so many people who live in this building who literally go every single day to get this fresh Italian bread. What's an activity that you've done here that you've really enjoyed that maybe you wouldn't have done so much at home?
We've been playing a lot of pickleball. There's a group here that plays every morning at the school in Panama Pacifico.
We've talked about your favorite part of living in Panama. One of my favorite parts is sharing wine with friends. That's also called Cocktail Hour. Mike, Julie, and Lulu, thank you so much for joining us. Cheers, Lulu.
Cheers.